everyone, it's Marie here. Welcome back to my channel, and today's video is for my creative scrapbook, and I'm scrapping these two super cute photographs of my son from quite a few years ago now, playing at the local park, and I can even now hear his giggle as he's swinging around on this seat that was, it's like a circular seat attached to a pole, and it just swung around wildly, and his giggle is just amazing. So this is the last layout that I've made with my February kit, the February main kit from my creative scrapbook. And I've used quite a lot of it already. I used loads of it on my shelf layout. They're all on the channel if you want to have a little look. So I'd kind of had this idea to use a few of my dies again. So I die cut a whole load of circles from the three pieces of card, the cut apart sheets that I showed you at the beginning. I die cut some circles and I die cut some stars. Now the circles are just a generic circle. The stars are like stitched around the edges, and they're from Ellie's Studio, so they're an Ellie's Studio die. And I'm going to play around now with the kind of the format of this and how it's going to work and what it's going to look like. So I knew that the colour scheme would work, so I picked out the orange paper and the green paper, obviously the colours in the photographs. I've kind of ignored the blue. If you have a colour in a photograph that you don't want to use in your page, if you don't put anything on your page that is that colour, it will not draw attention to it, and it will just, and if you use the other colours instead, it will draw attention to those. So as you can see, I've just kind of ignored the black and the blue and just gone with the green and the orange and the brownie colours. And it works really, really well. It's not a colour scheme that I've used very often before, but I think it works perfectly for this photo. I've had these photographs for ages, and I've wanted to scrap them for a long time, but I haven't found the right collection or anything. And this just kind of fell together, which is brilliant. So all I'm doing is using the sheets of paper from the collection. It's live captured by Simple Stories. Each sheet is patterned on one side and is a cut apart on the other. So a variety of 6x4 and 3x4 cut apart cards. So I've used a whole load of those, as you can see to the left, to the right of the screen there. And I'm using some of them to back my photograph, and I've die cut from some of them as well. So all I've done is attached a coloured star with a sticky foam pad to the middle of each one of the circles. And my idea was to have it in a grid of 9 there at the left hand side of the page. But when I get going, I do end up moving it, which you will see in a second. But right now I am just using some of those cut apart sheets and some other 3x4 pieces to mat my photographs. I'm not matting them square, I'm doing them a little bit random. And I'm going to just quickly mat the other photograph as well, so I've got that to play with. Using the closed edges of my scissors just to distress the edges of the pieces of cardstock. I never use my scissors open because I find they're too sharp, and I don't have one of, I do have one of those distressing tools. I find it makes the edges too fluffy for my liking. So I just literally use my scissors closed and scrape them along the edge, and it works really well. So now this is me deciding on layout, and I quite liked that. Then I thought about maybe having them stepped down the page, moving downwards, and then I didn't like that either, and then I played with it a bit more. So just playing around with things. I haven't obviously stuck anything down yet, so just deciding where things should go. It wasn't quite, wasn't sure about that. It wasn't quite what I was after. I move them, just keep moving them, and eventually settle on something I'm happy with. And then I decided I wanted to do this to the photograph. So if I moved one of those, I didn't have any more cardstock in the right colour to be able to cut any more out. So I had to just stick with these 9. I didn't have any more than the 9 I've already cut. So how to stretch your cardstock, just where there should have been some, I just haven't put them obviously under the photographs. So I'm just going to use my T-ruler now to line things up. I don't often use rulers, but when you're using either strips of paper, as in one of my previous videos, or when you're using circles like this, and because you are putting them in lines, I think there are certain times when you do need to check and make sure, otherwise it could all just be slightly wonky, and then you'd know that it wasn't quite right. So I'm going to stick the 2 outer lines on first, And then I'm going to sit the photographs down and the last two as well. And I do end up with one left over, one spare that I didn't need to stick on. So just getting lots of sticky dots, sticking everything on. Just being careful to position everything where it needs to go so that the gaps where there should be stars are covered up by photographs. So just going to put those last two on. I think it's the orange one that I don't end up putting on at all. And then the photographs that just go in the centre. Now I've already stuck the two photographs together. I then realised I need to change slightly how they're stuck. Very annoying because I then have to peel them apart again, but never mind. It's okay. Do I peel them apart? I can't remember. I thought I peeled them back apart. Yes, I do. They're just not quite right when I go to stick them down. Lots of sticky tape on the back. I always use plenty of sticky tape. I use finger lift tape. So the backing for the tape is wider than the tape itself. Works really well. So as you can see there, I can't quite position them quite right, and I end up just peeling them apart. Here we go. To make it work and mean that I can fit them together how I was originally kind of wanting to fit them together. It just wasn't quite right. There we go, and stuck down, and that's the general idea of the layout really. I'm now just going to pull out the few bits of ephemera that are going to work on this page. There aren't tons that are orangey green, but there's enough that I can make a page out of. I've fussy cut some of these little teeny tiny stars as well. They add those extra little bits of detail that are needed. And I pop a little dimensional foam dot on the back of each one of those as well. And then I start messing about with some of these words. This one, remember, which just looks perfect. Remember this day. And then I love my title for this. So I remember, like I say, I remember his giggle so clearly. So I decided to go with laugh and smile. Now, there is laugh and smile as words in this pack of titles, which is perfect. But there's no and. So I did have to delve into my stash to find a little ampersand, which I do find, and then end up using it's just a random one from a set of alphas I have in my drawer, but it just needed that laugh and smile. I didn't want to just use one of them, I wanted to use both as the title, because I love the mixed alphas there as well. So yeah, just a little teeny tiny foam circle now on the back of each one of those little hearts. They're tiny, but so are my little foam circles, so they were perfect for that. I don't have a lot of dies. I have some very specific and carefully chosen ones. So I have stars, I have hearts, I have circles, I have hexagons and tags. And then I have a few other sort of leaves and foliage, things that are difficult to cut well as with a machine like a Cricut or a Silhouette, sort of the more finer, more delicate things. So here's me now playing with ampersands. I've pulled out loads of different sets of alphas, and I and ah for ages, and I go backwards and forwards, and which one looks right and which one doesn't look right. And that big and nearly makes it on, but it's a slightly different black to the black. It's from a Vicky Booton set, an older one, but it's a slightly different black to the one that's on there that says laugh and smile. So I've just discovered one more, and it's in black and white, and I think actually that looks better. So that's the one. I think that's the one that stays on the page. I think that's the one I go with in the end. Oh no, it's not. I'm completely lying. I then found a brown one. That was it. I found the brown one, and I was like, the brown matches in better with the brown that's already on the page, so that looked perfect. I then found a few more of these puffy star stickers from the title stickers, and decided to add those in. I liked the addition of the black around the page because my title is black. Having those black stars really helped, and then I decided that camera would look perfect. Now, one thing I do off camera, because I realised after I was just putting everything away and I was like, oh, hang on a second, there are some word phrase stickers that are at the bottom of the sticker sheet, and I decided to put 3 of those on top of some of the stars, as you can see there. So I've got remember, do your thing, and for the record, and they just finished everything off perfectly. So it's one of those layouts that just goes to show you don't need masses of ephemera. A couple of dies, bits of pattern paper and some lovely photographs can make a really pretty layout. Thanks ever so much for watching. Details are down below for my creative scrapbook. I'd love you to like and subscribe, and do follow me over on Instagram at peartreecutfiles and at peartreepapercrafts. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.